We're live.
All right. So good morning, everybody. This is Lawrence Kazan Cassini. I'm in Florida. Excuse me. So Friday, December 18. I can't believe it's a week away from Christmas. I beg your pardon. A week away from Christmas. As usual, my little mantra is the slaughterhouse of failure is not in my destiny. I will persevere until I succeed. Og Mandino. So the Friday calls have to do with mindset. And obviously mindset is a huge subject. I mean, it encompasses and it embarks on everything and everybody, every person, everything we do has to do with mindset. So it's a very fertile ground to be able to work on. So it's actually, in one way, it's the power of our emotions. So as we get to the end of this year, which has been a very, very incredibly different year to ever before, I thought the subject I'd like to talk about would be gratitude. Gratitude for what we have and take for granted, which we have historically. So gratitude for what we have, but also gratitude for what we do not have and take for granted. Sounds like an oxymoron, but yeah, the point is we take everything we do many times for granted. And, you know, we don't really appreciate it. We don't show gratitude for it. When we had our Thanksgiving Day, I said it should be Thanksgiving year because it's a year of giving thanks that we should do. And gratitude is also on that same sort of subject. So we go through life in our routines, punctuated occasionally by some highlights and downfalls, but generally it's a habit of complacency. We just become complacent in where we are, and it's just a routine of habit. So we also go through something what I call the suddenly syndrome. And that is something that disrupts our routine. For example, we may have a calamity in the family or a serious disease, or we may have a good thing, you know, a birth or a graduation, something that momentarily awakens us to reflect and makes us changes on our lives. So these are things that kind of disrupt the routine, make us think about things. When I think now about, you know, a serious disease, I'm thinking about Dan. Dan Burke I spoke to him yesterday, and he's 50, and he's never, ever been sick in his life. Never had any problems or anything. He's very healthy, eats healthy. He climbs mountains for a hobby and a passion, rides bikes, and a very healthy guy. And he suddenly had a very, very, very serious abscess in his liver. Didn't even know it. And when they took him to the hospital, the doctor said if it had been another, 24 hours or 24 to 48 hours more, he wouldn't be here today. As it was, the doctor said it was so bad that the doctor didn't sleep for 2 days when he realized what it was. So that's a suddenly syndrome, one of those things that suddenly we have a wake-up call and we say, my gosh, I'm human. I'm not infallible. In my time, there's something that can happen. So that was a momentary thing, which lasts a week, but it's a very, very serious awakening. Well, COVID has done that for us this year. COVID has made us really, really, really aware of so many things, good and bad. So obviously the first thing is to think, well, it's very sad. We've got over 50,000 cases of COVID yesterday, I think it was. 3,000 deaths in one day. You know, it's astounding. 330,000 people in the US have died from this thing. And they become numbers. I remember when it first started in New York and we were talking about, 50 cases, and then 50 cases a day dying, and then 100 cases a day, and so on. Now we're at about 3,000 cases a day dying, which is, it's mind-blowing. So it's very, very, very sad as far as that particular aspect is concerned. But then we look in further and we say that, 10 million people have lost their regular forms of income. Let's think about that. When you go through life and you're in that regular routine of habit of whatever you're doing, whatever one's job is, whatever one's life is, and then from no fault of one's own, we have no job and we can't go out. We can't pay our rent. We can't pay our mortgage. And we're in serious, serious problems. Who do we go to? What can we do? So it's a situation which is dramatic. But here's the biggest dramatic thing that I was astounded with. My wife works in a hospital, Kari. She's a director of business development in a hospital in Florida. And I saw somewhere and I said, 1 in every 8 kids in the US has food insecurities. And I said, "Babe, is that possible?" She said, "It's 1 in 5. 1 in 5 kids in the US has food insecurities. In the United States, not in, outer Mongolia or Pakistan or wherever, some other place that we don't even know about. This is in the US. And I'm thinking, wow. And then when that happens, we look at something and we then react in our own way and we think, wow. So we think about, that in itself for me is astounding. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Then we also think about all the people who are in the front lines in the hospitals, the workers, the maintenance people, the police people, just janitors, everybody that has to do with coping with the problems that we have with this COVID thing. And we think about those people who go to work because, first of all, they still have a job, but then they've also got a vocation. It's a vocation, the healthcare workers. So we think about that and we think, where are we with all that? We're in a way where we're looking at this, it's a deep introspection. And this introspection, unfortunately or fortunately, during this year has brought out, this is serious, the best and the worst in us. How's that possible? How is that possible? We start to look at everything. We're looking at the situation. We're looking at all this statistics. Numbers are there. It's just numbers and it's just statistics. We cannot really argue with the numbers. And we look at that and it's brought out in many of us, the best of us, as we can see with all these people who volunteer and who work and who are risking their lives, as it were. But it's also brought out the worst in us. A lot of us have become impatient, intolerant, rude, all the very worst traits that we can think of. Think about the positive side. Now, I don't want to sound like it's all negative because it's not. I'm just trying to say that I'm a very positive person, but I'm also a person that likes to introspect and look and understand and see what I can do to get better, what I can do to be a better person and to help anybody that I can. So looking at a positive side to COVID, think about how much time we actually recovered this year, just in commuting. If we commuted 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, it would be 500 hours. With 10 hours a week, that'd be 50 weeks as 500 hours a year. If that's useful time, which we have recovered, that's 8 hours a day, 500 hours is 62 days of the year. We actually recovered 2 months of the year by not having to commute. That's a huge positive. that then we think, well, what did we do with that time? Did we speak more with our families? Did we share stories? Did we get to know them? Did we bond? How positively did we use that time that we saved? Were we even aware that we saved that time? Because many of us looked at that time and we thought about how terrible it was that we stuck at home. Well, we always say, what would you do if you didn't have to go to work? What would you do? And that's an answer that we couple it with if you had enough money to stay at home. So it's a couple with it. But in this case, we're staying at home. And what did we do with that time? Think about how much money you saved. You say, well, how can I have saved money? Well, I can tell you for a start that in my case, and I'm pretty sure with most people in this business, we've saved a lot of money. How? Well, we didn't travel so much. I mean, I used to go to Utah every single month. Every single month I was going to Utah. Well, just that alone was about over $1,000 a month, just for the air ticket and the car rental and the hotel and the food. It's at least $1,200 a month, at least, that I was saving, that I was spending there. So $1,200 a month, in a year is $14,000 in a year, just saving on that I haven't been able to go. It's not good that I haven't gone, but there is a saving on that. Think about the credit cards that the money you saved by not going out to restaurants and other things that we always used to do. There are several other $1,000 that we've saved on that. So we've got to think about how really lucky we have been. And this is also something that helps us feel positive. We feel good about being lucky. We should appreciate and be grateful for what we have. And also grateful for what we did not get. In other words, COVID or anything really more sinister. It's a little bit like being in a hurricane or a tornado, where our neighbors we're all in the same boat with the hurricane and the tornado, but by some miracle, our house was spared from the tornado. But we look across there and we see the neighbor's house is completely destroyed and they may have lost a loved one and so on. And we came out unscathed in a hurricane or tornado, whatever. Some kind of tragedy there, but around us, it's a tragedy and we've just managed to dodge the bullet. So that is the feeling of, oh my gosh, how fortunate am I? And that also instills a feeling of empathy and goodwill. How can I help the guy? How can I help these people? What can I do? We become understanding, less selfish. There's an emotional transformation. So the hard times make us appreciate the good times. When we're having hard times, we remember the good times. And we should also remember when we're in good times to remember the bad times. So thankful and grateful for what we have. That is, something that I think is important in this mindset. And that's what this is really all about. The worst in us, the best and the worst. My wife and I go every 2 years for a family reunion in Pennsylvania. And apart from the fact that obviously this year we didn't go, but there is such a yin and yang, not even, it's a positive and negative within the whole family, the whole 180 people, that you can't really express your opinions because someone's going to be of a different opinion. And we've lost our capabilities or the capacities of being able to have a civilized discourse, a civilized conversation with people and understanding people. Why do they think like that? How do they think like that? Why are we intolerant? Why have we become angry about stuff? So, we're looking at the way the event that happens makes positivity and brings out the best and the worst. That's what I'm trying to say. So what can we do about this? Well, the first thing is come out of the comfort zone or in that hidden zone where we are, and do something extraordinary, do something out of the ordinary. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about the vets. We see somebody who's homeless and we predispose, we look at that we look at this guy sitting on the street with hair down to his knees, and we think, what a bum. But the person is not necessarily a bum at all. He may be a vet. He may be someone that was very useful, that is a useful person, but he's just had a terrible knock in life. So if we have a bit of empathy, and we have a bit of, and we understand that things are tough, but they're tough for everybody, and some more tough, more difficult for others. That's something we might think about, talking to these, doing something, talking, helping, doing something or doing something out of the ordinary, something that can really bring out the best of us. This week, there was a little talk from Nu Skin, and they were saying that they confirmed that there were over 700 meals given from Nourish the Children. 700 meals. 700 million. What 700 million? 700 million meals. That number is staggering, staggering. And Nu Skin says it's 95% of what we do, but it's 5%, 95% of who we are, but 5% of what we do. Well, isn't that cool that we can adopt that same kind of mentality, and 5% of what we do is our business, but 95% of who we are is this social responsibility that we could have, or that social responsibility that we could have. And 5% of what we do is our business, because automatically what goes around comes around. And when we do well, when we're doing good things and so on, we're helping people, it actually comes back to us. So do the bad things too, by the way. So I was thinking about what we can do that's, a little out of the ordinary. And I come back to the vets. I'm thinking the vets have had a terrible time because they are soldiers. They're very disciplined. They're told what to do. They're given instruction. And then when they finish their tour of duty, they're set free. But they're not given any guidance. Nobody gives them any guidance. They have no street smarts, none. They've been told what to do for their entire professional lives, which could be 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Many of them are wounded. Many of them have got post-traumatic stress disorder. And who's there to help them? Yeah, there are organizations, but what are we doing? Can we do something? Should we do something? Well, in our business, we're looking for people that are disciplined. We're looking for people that will follow a system, that can be taught. Are you coachable? That's one of the first things we ask everybody. Are you coachable? Can you follow a system? And here we've got a whole pool of people that are vets that could be part of our team. We've seen what military people can do through John Whitaker and others. John Whitaker is a Marine colonel, leader of leaders, very disciplined. So we can look at this and say, well, what can we do? Okay, Nourish the Children. Okay, I'm doing that. I'm donating every month. But what else can we do? we look at the vets. We're looking at LinkedIn, for example. There are organizations, there are plenty of organizations with vets. Maybe we can recruit some vets to become part of our sales team. What's the difference between a pharmaceutical rep or a medical sales device rep and a vet? Training. That's all. Training. Can we train people? Absolutely. Do we have to go out of the house to train them? No, we can do it fresh from here, from our computers. We've got Zoom. We've got all the technology we need. This morning, I was on a call with Kelly, who's on this call now, with somebody in South Africa. Then I was on a call with somebody in Argentina, right from 8 o'clock this morning, from 7, and in Colombia at 7 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock with Kelly in South Africa, and then 8:30 with somebody in Argentina. So how fun is this as well, if you want to make it fun? So we have everything. I'm so blessed and grateful for everything that I have. And I want to impart that. It's Christmas time, almost in a week's time. And I'm so grateful. And I think we have a company that backs out everything we have and we do. And let's think about this in a very open-hearted way with everybody that is in our team, that is not in our team, anybody that is in the company, anybody we can, because it doesn't cost anything to help everybody or anybody. So I don't want to ramble on. So, if anybody would like to say anything or make a comment, I'd be very happy to open it and let everybody make any comments or anything like that.
I think that 700 million meals is unbelievable.
I agree.
I mean, to be associated with a company that actually makes that a part of who they are. It's a pretty serious program. It's not just taking the group over to do a, habitat house for, a week or, although that's extremely good. 700 million meals is unbelievable. And it'll keep going. It'll keep going and growing. We'll hit 1 billion, gosh, who knows, in a year maybe?
So I think you're right. And I think one of the things that also from this situation in that we were living in this pandemic, the fact that we can introspect and take a look at who we are and what we're doing and where we're going and where we've been and who's in our teams and who are our friends and our families. The time to introspect. This is, I think, one of the good things that comes from having to kind of stop activities in some ways through this pandemic. It's one of the positive things, because we often don't take time to see where we're going. Where are we? Where are we going? What's happening? So a lot of
Lawrence, as you're saying this, we're all kind of taking it in. And the fact of the matter is, underlying this is how grateful we should really be for the 3 calls we get each week. Because how many hundreds of distributors are not hearing this sort of thing and being able to work on their own mindset? I think everyone on this call is going to go away from this call extremely grateful for what they have. And what you say may motivate them to go do something for someone else right now. And so these 3 calls to me are just so important. Really, just I would call them life calls as much as training calls.
Thanks, Jim. I agree with you, and I think I would make a call to come out of the comfort zone and to come out of a defensive situation where we're all sort of in a defensive way, saving ourselves, but we can also do a hell of a lot of other good things.
I just wanted to say too, if there's any new people on the call, if they go to the website and look under Giving Back, not only are we talking about Nourish the Children, but if you look under sustainability, or how we're growing nutrients, so we're taking care of the planet. And we don't just say, oh, we're going to do better at recycling. We're building our own plants to do that properly. So just to look at their what they're rolling out for the next 10 years, it's amazing.
Yeah, Deborah, you're right. It's a consciousness that the company has. It's a mentality that the company has. And this is what makes me, anyway, feel very proud to be part of the company, because it has never let me down, and it's got very high standards of morals and of ethics and of doing the right thing. And I think this is what we should all strive always to do.
Lawrence, it's a corporate mindset. Maybe they're listening to your Friday calls.
Lawrence, I think one of the great gifts that this company is and offers us is the ability to so positively impact the lives of others, not just through Nourish the Children, which is a tremendous program. I mean, who can't love a program which has literally abolished childhood or eliminated childhood starvation in an entire country? That in and of itself is extraordinary. But the ability we have through our products to help people and enhance their lives and give them the gift of something which is extremely difficult to find, which is wellness. Wellness is a tough thing. I mean, absence of sickness is one thing, but true wellness is something entirely different. And then, of course, there's the business, the opportunity to change people's lives in terms of their income, perhaps their retirement. It's just an extraordinary opportunity for us to do some real good and to do well by doing good. That's the perfect balanced opportunity.
Martin, you know, I have business in South America, and I'll just give you an example of what you've just said, which is to reinforce that. I've got a distributor in Colombia whose husband was out cycling, and he had an accident, and he was quadriplegic. It's exactly the same thing as Christopher Reeves had. And he was completely quadriplegic for months. And finally he got out of the hospital and so on. And by some kind of miracle, the guy over the last 4 or 5 months has slowly been able to start moving his arms and his legs and so on. Excuse me. And he's on the 19th floor of a building in Colombia, where they've had lockdowns, and they've only been allowed to go out every 10 days to go shopping, according to the number of their, like their passport, it's their ID. So 1 to 10, every 10 days. And this is a woman who has 2 kids, lives on the 19th floor of an apartment building with a quadriplegic husband. And she's been able to sustain her family through the sales, excuse me, through the sales of her Nu Skin business. So with her, for example, we have calls 3 times a week. She's organized people, and she's got people in Peru, in Chile, in Mexico, in Argentina, and Colombia, and so on. And she's been able to not only sustain herself, but to thrive in her business through the whole Nu Skin business. And this is something that is thanks 100% to Nu Skin and to what we're doing. So what the company has. So, you know, what you just said is another huge, thank God, that we have this company, that we have these products, that we have both sides. We've got the business side of the skin as well as the health side. You know, that is also huge. So
this is truly life as it should be, but so very rarely is. You know, this is normally a non-collaborative dog-eat-dog world. And what we have the blessing of enjoying is so vastly different from that. Just extraordinary.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Martin, I'm really grateful that you're speaking this morning because it allows me to look at your wife's beautiful Christmas tree. And
Oh, you're
but
kind.
I was
Thank
going to
you.
share a real quick story of the kind of gratitude we get to feel. That it's really hard to express this to people when we're initially talking to them about the business. But my wife has COVID, so she's locked up in her bedroom upstairs, and
Oh,
she
I'm
was
so
having
sorry.
some shortness of breath. And so what did I do? I called 3 medical doctors this morning at 7:45. All two are in my group and one is not. But all 3 of them are distributors, so I have access to them. All 3 came up with recommendations, and they're helping my wife. And when we called our normal practice at 9 o'clock, these people said, "Oh, we can't give you this. You need to maybe just go to the hospital." And it's kind of like the kind of value I get from this with that type of response from 3 medical doctors, and they're all MDs, is just immeasurable.
That's
I don't know how you place a price on that,
You really can't.
So one of them has put in a prescription for her, and for me for prophylactic. So, that's just beyond what you can imagine, I think.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear your wife's got COVID. Jim, I wish all the
Yeah,
best.
thank you.
For,
We'll be good. I think we're in good hands. So I'm very grateful.
I see there's a Jane Luong says that she's got a nonprofit and she's passionate about eradicating human trafficking and fixing the foster care system. Well, Jane, I think this foster care thing in America is one of the biggest problems that we can imagine. I mean, I've had something to do with that as well, and I think we've got so much that we can do, and we're privileged to be able to be in a position to do that. I'd like to chat with you about that as well afterwards, if you like, because there's a lot that I can help you with that as well.
Yes, absolutely, Lawrence. I would love to. I am actually collaborating.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good times, man. We're all going into good times, and we've got to have joy for Christmas, and we've got to reset for 2021 now. Make some plans. We're going to be able to hopefully have an event in Florida again in February, and try and get everybody to come to that event, which is going to be one which is similar to the one we just had last week. It'll be highly worthwhile for everybody to come to that and to bring people or send people to that. And 2021 is going to be absolutely knock your socks off, fantastic. Let's put that in our minds. Let's absolutely be sure of that and be convinced that it's going to be like that, because it will be. It's going to be a fantastic year for everybody. So if anybody's got anything else they want to add, otherwise we can wish everybody a very, very good weekend. Happy shopping. Don't forget, we got lots of products in the company that you can give. These little things here, by the way, that the company has, these Nutricentials. I bought about 50 of these things, and I give them to everybody anybody that's nice to me. It could be my Pilates instructor, the post lady, postman or lady, just anybody, the guy who washes my car, whatever it is, these little things and the products that people come back and say, I love it. Wow, I love it. Where can I get it? That's not the intention initially, but oh, by the way, okay, go to my website.
I think there's nothing wrong with that intention. We bought a whole bunch of them, and I tell everyone in my group, these are little marketing soldiers for you. There's nothing wrong about that. My wife literally in the middle of the night, or, you know, when we go to bed, it's dark. And she goes, feel my face. Feel what that Nutricentials is doing to my face. She loves it.
That's too much information, Jim.
But it is great stuff. I'm not kidding. She's very impressed with it.
Yeah, you're right.
And guys can use it too. I've used it a few times.
Well,
So go ahead.
no, I was going to try and be stupid. I was going to say, well,
You can